Hi everyone. I wanted to make an informal video to give you some tips or some strategies of some of the resources that you have available to apply the techniques and tools that you've learned this semester about understanding, searching, and writing chemical literature. And I wanted to be able to make sure that you know where that this information can be accessed on campus. There are many different databases and search tools that are available from a wide variety of vendors. Um, just about every campus that you go to, if you go to graduate school, you're going to find that every university is going to have their own variation of the type of search tools that they use. But if you understand the basics of how they operate, you will be able to apply the same principles universally. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the basic tools that Alcorn has available at its library website, and how to use these resources, how to take this resource and where to find the information from full text journals online. And if the full text journal is not available online through the Alcorn website, which journals are available in the library that chemists most often use and where you can find them. Also, I'm going to show you a couple of resources outside the Alcorn library environment that a chemist can use as a tool to be able to find other full text or not full text, or other references that they can use in their research. So let's start with the references that are available from Alcorn's library. If we go to Alcorn's webpage, when you first arrive here, everyone I hope knows how to get to the library. From alcorn.edu, we will go to academics, and we will see that the library is located here. From the library, we have several different options. All the information about the library is here, and I know everyone already has had adequate training on usage of the library. This video is not meant to replace that. I'm just going to show you basic chemical literature tips and tools. So if you go up here to search the search databases, there are going to be a variety of different databases that will be accessible to you. Some of them are geared toward science, while others are geared toward other disciplines. The tool that I would recommend that you start with to begin a science search are EBSCOhost and Science Direct. Science Direct, let's start with that one. If we click on Science Direct, we're going to see that we have a list of potential disciplines where we can just go and we can browse publications that this particular publisher has that are in that discipline. So for chemistry, Elsevier is the publisher, the company that publishes the journals for Science Direct. And there are several different journals that they publish. And you can see over here to the right that it is indicated whether they're open access or not. Open access are the journals that you would be able to access the full text articles for without having to either purchase the article or get a interlibrary loan for. So as you see, most of these journals you would have to either access in the library if there is a hard copy version, a print copy of the journal. You'd have to access the journal as a physical hard copy journal in the library if you're going to use these as a resource. Otherwise, if it says contains or open access, if it says contains open access, that means that some of the articles will be free for you to download, but not all of them. And in many cases, most of them will not. So this resource is really useful for when you run out of options and you can't find the information you need on the other databases. You can come to Science Direct, and what you could do, rather than browsing through the subject like we just did coming to chemistry, what you could do, let's say you want to find out what we're going to take as our example search criteria for this video to be nanoparticles for drug delivery. So let's say we want to find out what articles that there are that are available for nanoparticles for drug delivery. What we should probably do first is just search, do a generic and broad search that searches all of these publications, because sometimes it's not just chemistry that that is a subject where these things are relevant. A lot of science is interdisciplinary, which means that there are many different aspects of a topic that can be considered from many different perspectives. A lot of chemistry, biology, agriculture, engineering disciplines overlap to a great extent. Okay, so if we do a search like this for our topic, it is going to pretty much search all of the journals. So once it does that, it's going to return a set of results, just like we do in Google. Okay. I don't know why it didn't do that time. Let's try again. Okay, so this is going to give us an option to be able to tell it whether or not we want just journals or journals and books, and if we want to select specific publications, periodicals, journals that we want to search. We can hold down the control key and select multiple journals that we want to search, or we can just leave it alone and let it search all of them. Okay, and we can also narrow down the time frame that we are searching. But let's go ahead and leave the search like this. And then we're going to say search. Okay, so here are our search results. We can see that we have 1,087 results. On the left side, we can filter. We can see only things that have been listed under a specific topic. We can filter only by a certain publication. We can filter only journals that were published in a certain year. But in the meantime, now that we have our results here, we can click on the PDF. My computer doesn't trust PDFs very much. It's coming. It's taking its time. And here you have your article that talks about intravenous delivery of camphophacin loaded PLGA nanoparticles. for the treatment of intracranial glioma, whatever that is. Okay, so that's how you would find a journal article using Science Direct when you really want to find an electronic version. If you are off campus or you really don't have access to the library right now, or you're up late and the library is closed or something like that, and you want an electronic version of the journal articles, that's how you would use Science Direct for that. As you can see, you can go back and you can go back through your results, and whichever one of these journal articles actually, seems to fit what you're looking for, you can click on abstract and it will show you what the article is about before you decide to open it up, and you can decide whether or not that's something that's useful for you. As you saw at the beginning of the class when we said how can we determine whether or not literature is relevant. Okay, so that's how you use Science Direct. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. And actually, in this way, Science Direct is actually a good resource if you go through and you select open access only. It is much better than, I know that a lot of students simply Google a topic to get articles. Google gives you anecdotal information as well as scientific information. There is the Google Scholar, where you can find some pretty relevant and reliable information, but sometimes we have to be very, very careful with Google. So when you're a scientist, it is very important that we are looking at the journals, the literature, the patents, whatever types of literature we're looking at. It's important that we're doing it as a professional scientist, as a professional chemist, to know that the resources that we're using are verifiable and valid. Okay, so that was Science Direct. So what about the other database? There's another one called EBSCOhost. Now, whether you're on or off campus, it's going to depend on which one of these you choose. Right now, I'm off campus, so I'm going to choose EBSCOhost off campus. And it's going to ask you to enter your library barcode number. And that number is simply your ASU ID. Well, that's how I got in. So once you enter that number, you're going to have a lot of different little activities and databases that you can use here. I just go into offsite users. And if you're on site, you could just go into EBSCOhost web. Okay, and this is a set of databases. A database is a collection of periodicals that you can search from that have articles. So you can tell it to search one or more articles of interest, of things that are of interest to you, or you can just say select all of them, and then you can be able to get the maximum amount of results for your search term. So after you say okay, after you choose which databases you want to search, you then say continue, and we say we're using our little term here, nanoparticles for drug delivery. All right, and so these options down here are things that you can use to customize your search. You can tell it, just like what you do in Google, you can tell it to do only the exact match. You can tell it to do if it has any of this information in there, etc., etc. You can also do like we did for the Science Direct and say that we want to see the full text variation of something only, which means something that is available as a PDF that we can access immediately on our computer. We can also look at the reading level of the document or the journal article. There's all types of things that you can customize in your search. But for right now, let's go up and customize that we want this to be a scholarly, peer-reviewed journal, first of all, and that we want it to be full text. Okay, and so now we can search. Peer-reviewed, remember from what you learned in class, peer review means that this document has undergone evaluation by trusted agents in the scientific community to verify that the data is reasonably valid. And so if something is not peer reviewed, that means that someone can publish anything as fact, and if it's not validated or verified, it is looked upon as less reliable. Okay, so here are our search results. And as with the other database, if you click on the title, you get the abstract. But if you click on the PDF, full text here, it will take you to the journal article. And of course, my computer doesn't trust it, so let's trust. It is taking a while for it to load, but you get the point that it is going to be the full text version as a PDF file of the journal article that we found that we're interested in. And of course, just like with any PDF file, you can download it, put it in a folder while you're collecting your references. Up here, you see where it gives you the option to download it. Okay. So instead of wasting time waiting for it to load just so you can see a picture of an article that we have really no interest in, this is just for example purposes only, we're going to go back to our starting point. So those are the two most useful databases that I have found in the Alcorn online library, in the Alcorn online search tool portfolio, I guess.